All right, boys and girls, we are back, and guess what? I get to chill with Crash MMA and Stand 'em Up. Look at me, lucky guy, right? So right now we want to talk about the Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones situation, because frankly, Jon Jones doesn't want to fight anyone except Stipe.
Wait. Before we start this, what's your favorite page? Stand them up or Crash MMA? That's the real question.
Bro, you can't ask me that.
Come on, bro. Hey, me
The thing
personally,
is that
I like mine more.
I've known Crash for like that page. I've known for so long. Like I had like he was a page I knew for a while, and that to me, it's like
I don't mind.
that
I
that
don't mind.
allegiance is
You
there.
you
That allegiance
don't
is
need
there.
to say anything else.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
said.
mind. I don't mind. I like listen. His page is much cleaner than mine. I post bullshit.
That's the old no. See, the reason why I like yours is because like you found a way to really get the opinions out. But like you said, in terms of like there's only bro, I've been following the sport for so goddamn long. There was only so many pages at one point, and that too for like quality stuff. So like to me, it's like full violence crash, like all these guys, like when I was just trying to like use Instagram a little bit, those are the guys I was following. That feels like a long time. How long has Crash been a page? How long you had a page, Pedro?
I want to say early 2021. I might
Yeah,
be.
so
I
like
probably started the page late 2020, but I started really posting early 2021. So yeah.
Me
yeah,
too.
because like I feel like in MMA social media, like that's quite early, right? Like he's like one of the OGs.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
no,
For
not
sure.
really. You had like Full Violence. He was like 2 years behind before me.
No, he
Combat
Mhm.
was
Talk as
earlier.
well.
No.
All these guys.
No, but see, like, you have to from my viewpoint, it's like especially as time goes, like that 2 year gap isn't as much. Like me and Emil got really close right now, so like I see his page so much, but like at that time, I felt like there was only a handful of quality pages, and I think the timeline at that point doesn't matter. Like the following's there, but like in terms of quality posts, I felt like there was only so many. There wasn't
Yeah,
many out there.
For
yeah.
sure. We're different pages. Though. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to see what you say. But
Every time you ask me a question, I go so too far in depth.
it's all good. It's all good. We want to talk about Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Like you said, John only wants to fight Stipe Miocic. But is he ducking though? Pedro, I feel like you have something to say. I feel like you're frustrated. Let us know.
I feel like it's blatant ducking at this point. We all know that Jon Jones has a pretty heavy Dana White privilege. Every time Dana has the chance, he has always good things to say about John, and this is not coming from a guy who doesn't like Jon Jones personally or anything, but it's like it's getting ridiculous at this point. You have the guy defending his interim belt. He's running through every guy in the division quickly, and John is going to be fighting a guy who has been out of the sport, I want to say, for 3.5 years, and the last time he fought, he got knocked out cold. So, I mean, it's pretty blatant ducking at this point. I understand they were supposed to do the fight in the past and it didn't get booked, but I think it's past now. Like, no one wants to watch that. Would you agree?
100%. So I will ask you guys one question. Why is there an interim champion? Like, what's the reason behind an interim champion? Not only in this situation, but like in all situations.
I think it was injury. So
No,
like
no, but not,
depending
not
on a
in this
fighter coming
particular
back.
situation. Just in all situations. Like, why does the UFC decide like, hey, we need an interim champion?
I feel like it's like when the undisputed champion is going to be out for a
Yeah,
while, and
yeah,
you need to keep the division going somehow.
exactly. And Tom Aspinall took it upon himself to go short notice, fight against Sergey Pavlovich, who was the other number one contender. They fought, and he became the interim champion. So after this, you have to know who is the real champion, right? You have to know.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then you have Aspinall defending his belt. Okay, Jon Jones still can't come back. But
I
after
feel like
this,
the right way to go about this situation would have been like, okay, he fought for the interim title. If Jon Jones is not ready to come back by the time Tom is ready to fight again and he has to defend an interim title, the next time it should be upgraded to an undisputed title, you know what I mean?
yeah, but he's basically the champion right now. He is the
He
champion
is.
right now.
In
If you have to
everyone's eyes, I
defend,
believe.
if you have to defend your title, you're the champion. You're
Exactly.
the champion.
Exactly.
What would you say, Suki?
It's
I think that this is he sniped it, right? Like there's a bit of data weight privilege here because the one thing I'll say about the interim belts, it's like I get why they're around, but the difference in stripping a fighter from their belt is so subjective because if the UFC has a chance to strip a fighter that either stays out a little bit longer or is just someone they might not like as much as say Jon Jones, they get stripped a lot quicker. So for me, I just feel like this is a situation where I hate to say that I'm going to play devil's advocate here for just a second. When you look at Stipe's record, you look at Jon Jones's record, it's almost like they're approaching this in a way where it's like if this was their last fight, almost like one of these like gimmicky fights, and I hate to say it, but you're not exactly fighting the best at that point, right? Like you're kind of handpicking your fights and just so. And one thing that Pedro said that was absolutely on point is how is Stipe's stock not just plummeting? How are we staying that interested in Stipe for this much time? That's the biggest issue I have with it. Because if you give Jon Jones the credit of just like in reality calling his shots, the wild part about it is he's trying to consistently sell us on Stipe's stock as the most deserving person for the belt, which is I think wild.
Like the only situation in which this could make sense if it's like a huge fight, a blockbuster for a blockbuster card that everyone wants to watch it. The fan base is super excited to see it, and it's not the case at all. It makes no sense for the company. I don't know, like, I don't know what the pay-per-view sales will be if when the fight hopefully happens soon. It's gonna be very bad in my opinion. I don't know.
I agree, bro. And I like from the company's perspective, why would you do Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic? Listen, if he wins, he'll most probably retire. So it doesn't matter for you if he wins or loses, because like if he stayed for 2 to 3 more fights, of course you'd want him to win because he generates the most money. But after this, he probably retires. So why not just put him against Aspinall? And if Aspinall wins, his stock rises tremendously, and then you have somebody that beat Jon Jones. If Jon Jones, and besides that, Jon Jones won't retire if he loses to Aspinall. He probably go for a rematch. So you have 2 more fights from Jon Jones against a guy that beat Jon Jones. That's insane. Huge. And
Do you
Stipe,
agree with
bro,
me that his legacy? Sorry, go ahead.
as Stipe lost to Francis Ngannou in his last fight, 2021. Insane.
Wow.
And he
Insane.
like isn't Dana saying Ngannou was scared of Jon Jones? So you're putting the guy that got knocked out of by the guy that's scared to fight Jon Jones. You're putting him now against Jon Jones. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't know what's going on there, bro, but it just doesn't make sense, man.
Do you agree with me that if Jon Jones just walks away and retires after the Stipe win, which we probably expect that to happen, do you agree that his legacy like will be forever talking about him ducking Tom Aspinall? I don't think John himself, his ego won't let him retire like this because he knows forever everyone is gonna be saying he ducked Tom Aspinall.
I'm not sure if it's forever, but at least for 5 years, people will be saying, "Oh, Jon Jones and
Oh
this and that."
my god.
I think is if Tom Aspinall becomes like the best heavyweight of all time, then probably. But I'm not sure if Tom Aspinall will become such a name to which people will remember him in like 20, 25, 30 years to say, "Oh yeah, he really got Jon Jones scared," you know?
Yeah. And
But I
it's
think
like
that one's a little different, right? Because Jon Jones was like one of those figures, like a Connor that built the sport. So it's a little hard on Tom to try and live up to that because I think it comes with a lot more than title defenses and a winning streak and stuff like that. Like what Jon Jones is bringing, like all the young boys like saying the aura, but like there's a different aura with certain fighters, and they
His
get to
aura
call
is
their
gone.
shots. But it doesn't seem like that is what we have to deal with right now. At least from a company perspective, the fact that this is even happening. And the weird part about it is statistically, he's going to die on that hill of saying Stipe's the most deserving with the title defenses and his run as champion. And I hate to see that there's credibility there, but why are we waiting this long? That's the part that blows my mind. It's just we're waiting so long for a fight that was credible 2 to 3 years ago.
exactly.
Yeah, like he got injured, so that's why we didn't see it like in November. Then I'd be like, okay, he won the belt in March. He's coming back in November. It's a quick turnaround. Let him beat Miocic, and then he'll fight Aspinall. And before that, Aspinall didn't beat Pavlovich. So it'd be like, I know how good is Aspinall really. He hasn't really fought somebody that's really good. He just had an injury, this and that. You could make an argument. But now, with what Aspinall did to Pavlovich, what he did against Blades, he is the number one contender, and you just can't, at this point, put Miocic in there, who also refused to fight Aspinall or Pavlovich. He hasn't fought for over 3 years, refused to fight the number one contender. He's 43, bro.
But that comes down to money. That just comes down to money, right? I truly believe that is just, they are not at the point where they are going to pay their dues by taking on the best challengers in the UFC. Like, they're trying to chase the money fight and go. And I just think with those two, it's like, let's share in this wealth that we're going to generate with us fighting, because they will, and move on from there. I don't even see them being competitive enough to want to fight Aspinall after this fight. The body language and the way things are going right now, it does seem like Aspinall's going to fight again for the actual championship as the interim champion with somebody else. Like, it seems like that might be a road we have to go down.
Probably.
The fact that Tom was offering to do like a heavyweight tournament, that he fights Pereira at the same time as John fights Miocic, and then like, it's ridiculous that Tom at this point he's like, okay, I'll keep on defending my interim title. It's ridiculous that we're doing this to this guy.
Yeah,
and like, if Jon Jones, I wanted to say another thing. If he retires, it's not like he's super old or anything. He's 37 years old. Alex Pereira is 37 years old as well, and he's running through everyone. So it's not like he's in a hurry to retire, you know.
But it's different, bro.
It even looks worse.
Jon Jones became champion at 23, so
True.
he's been champion for like 12, 13 years, bro. It's insane. Like,
on his own accord, bro.
Yeah.
He, for the longest time, like, the way he goes about picking his fight, he's so cerebral about that process, to the point where as a fan it gets annoying, because you could almost make the argument that he's training for, researching on Stipe, and the fighter that Jon Jones is, for how important those things are to him. That's another reason where he's not going to budge. There's no way he budges on this.
Yeah, for Jon Jones, there's one thing I'm like, okay, I do understand why he's doing this. I'm still not agreeing with it, but let's say in 10, 15 years, Tom Aspinall hasn't had a lot of title defenses. He just gets knocked out and he maybe becomes champion, but doesn't defend his title more than 3 times. At that point, you could say in 10, 15 years, oh, but Jon Jones beat the greatest heavyweight of all time. Which he isn't. In my opinion, at that point, he's not. At 42, he's not. But like, if you look at it legacy-wise and name-wise, it's like, if Jon Jones beat Fyodor right now, people will be saying, oh yeah, but he also beat Fyodor, so he's the greatest of all time. So that's what he's collecting names,
exactly,
and not quality fighters.
Oh, he's been like that from day one, though.
Yeah, exactly.
He's fought Chael Sonnen, by the way, which is crazy. When he moved up in weight, he didn't have a win, I'm pretty sure, at 205, like, in years. And that was after he lost to Silva twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insane, bro.
You know what it is with this fight as well? Like, it annoys me so much when I see comments under my posts when I trash Jon Jones a little bit with some memes. They're saying like, everyone is talking about this hype train, Tom Aspinall. Like, it's just a hype train.
How can it be a hype train?
Like, what? This guy is defending his interim title. He's running through everyone. It's not like he's fighting like top 15 guys. No, he's fighting the best guys. If everyone was scared of Pavlovich and he ran through him.
Yeah, insane, bro.
From a ranking perspective, if he is a hype train, what are guys like Acosta and all these other fools on their way up to like these guys are? How can you credibly say that? It makes no sense. He's at the top of the food chain right now. It doesn't add up at all.
Also, bro, one thing I despise in my whole life with every fighter. When you're saying like, oh, he didn't do this right, or like morally somebody did something wrong, especially with Jon Jones, people will still say, yeah, but he has more money than you. Like, you're a bitch if you say this, bro. If you say this kind of stuff, you're Jon Jones's bitch. I hate this so much when people say this, bro. Like, oh yeah, but he still has more money than you. You're just talking about him. Shut the fuck up, bro. Like, how can you? I hate that so much. I'm sorry. Like that's like the worst type of people like ever. Where you're saying, oh,
But
so you're
that
putting
shows
money
you,
above
like, if
everything.
you look at it, but if you look at it from a professional perspective, I mean, those people aren't the people I'm going to have an actual conversation about this subject, because their opinion on it, just from that one statement, tells me I'm going to learn nothing. I will learn zero from that person's opinion, because it's going to be so one-sided and probably not very educational.
Not at all.
Exactly. And also the comments when they're saying, but Jon Jones, he never lost.
Dominic Reyes, bro.
Dominic Reyes.
Dominic Reyes. Look at me. Look at me. Yeah, I'm going to make this a real. Look at me. Dominic Reyes beat Jon Jones. I'm sorry, bro. Gustafsson probably beat Jon Jones. Thiago Santos.
I was media row.
Probably beat
Gustafsson Jones. And
Really?
I thought he lost that fight, man. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? There's a picture. I always tell me the story, but you know that back elbow he throws? It's like a very famous picture. I'm in that picture, and it's one of like the best claims to fame I have in MMA, is that in that beautiful picture of Jones landing that spinning elbow that's so popular, you can see me there on media row trying to be professional, but like sitting there like this. Just absolutely mind blown.
I hope you have that picture in your house somewhere, like a huge poster.
My wife won't let me, but I thought about it.
Why not?
I know. Oh, I've asked her about so many MMA pictures, and she's like, yeah, maybe one day. One day. That's the answer.
It's like Muslim people say inshallah, and then it never happens.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, but it's I understand if you're a hardcore Jon Jones fan, like you're gonna try and make excuses for your guy all the time, because they're 100%, they're so scared about this matchup, because it's not like Jon Jones. Okay, he ran through Cyril Gane, true, a guy with no ground game, and it was a very weird fight. But before that, he probably lost to Dominic Reyes. He couldn't finish Anthony Smith, which is nowadays it's a bad look. He almost lost to a Thiago Santos with one leg. And before that, he was fighting old middleweights coming up to light heavyweight. It's not like... And his fights against DC, drugs, that's all I'm going to say, steroids. I'm confident this guy was on PEDs. I mean, you can look at every single one of his fights and see like something wrong with it. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, listen. Now it seems like we're Jon Jones haters. Me personally, I'm not. I'm not a Jon Jones hater. But also, he's making
us haters right now. It's not like we're like actively hating on him, but the more he ducks Tom Aspinall, the more haters we become. You know what I mean? It's getting annoying at this point.
I won't.
For me though, I will say as the old man here, I don't have those sentiments, because I've known Jones literally since he was a kid till now, and his decision making, like Pedro pointed out so perfectly, relist those fights and tell me this guy doesn't go into these fights knowing exactly how he wants to win, what he's gonna do. Tom Aspinall is probably the worst challenger for him ever, because when you look at the skill set, it's the fight that's going to make him work the hardest. Why did he take that Cyril Gane fight so easily? Pedro said that again. He's able to see his path to victory. That's what makes Jon Jones so good, in my opinion. The cerebral approach to the game, kind of, you just said it's kind of cheap in its own way, but the studying that he'll do on a fighter that he already knows he can beat puts him in a place where the confidence level, everything that comes with it, is so easy. And I think Tom, prototypically, is the hardest version of that. And at 37, with where he's at, I think he's finding every reason to not avoid it, because he's not ducking it. I think he at least is rolling with the credibility that he doesn't have to do it, which I think is different. If you've been following the sport for like the last 4 years, that sounds preposterous. It sounds ridiculous, right?
I feel like outside looking in, I understand how he'll see like people in the future. It was not really necessary to take that difficult fight. But for this generation of MMA fans, we'll remember. We'll never
Sure.
forget about
100%.
this. I'll be talking about this to my grandchildren when Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
It's
But
unacceptable.
I'll remember Jon Jones for what I'll remember him for the rest of my life is the best decision maker when it comes to his fighting career and the worst decision maker when it comes to his personal life.
Oh
That's
my God.
my Jon Jones legacy. Is he's put all of his effort into being the best fighter on the planet. That how to live outside of that cage and outside the gym is the hardest thing for him to do.
For
It's
sure.
insane.
Now, steroids or not, he's probably the greatest fighter of all time, right? I think that we could agree on this because of
The thing
what
is,
he did with the
Aldo
people.
was on roids, so was probably on roids. As a Canadian, I'm telling you, I don't know what GSP was on, but that mofo was doing something. I used to research
I
his
don't
diet.
think he
See,
was,
if
though.
I know, what's that?
GSP, look at how shredded and good he looks at
Exactly.
40 something. So
He has
So you don't
insane
think
genetics,
these are-
number one, and number two, he has crazy, like, he's always training. He's 40 years old.
Yes,
He's training
yes.
every single day. I feel like this guy is the most disciplined, not like Jon Jones. He was not very disciplined, as we know about this.
yeah.
This guy is genetically gifted, super athletic. I believe Jon Jones could have done so much more with what he had.
and that's
Like,
why I
100%.
think
he's
he's the
great.
greatest of all time.
Come on, dude, where's the DJs? Where's the Fyodor Emelianenkos? dude?
Pedro just pointed a point that people my age say, like, that is a very common sentiment that Pedro just mentioned about Jon Jones. Is anyone 30 plus that watches this sport will say we could have seen more. He could have done more because of how good we've seen him look. There's always that sentiment that he could have been even better.
100%. But you guys have him 100% as your number one.
Me
It's
personally, the thing is, if you leave out the drugs, I feel like he could beat everybody even without the
Pound
Yes.
for pound. Pound for pound.
pound for pound.
He's
I
the
would
best.
say he's
the best.
Yeah.
Silva, because PEDs to me in that era, you have to kind of get, bro. Aldo's first fight coming off of roids, he looked like he aged 10 years and got knocked out in 10 seconds. So, like, there's something to be said about, like, that was right after USADA took over. He did not look like the same person. And it took him all this time to get back to, fighting like Aldo. Because now he looks great, but you have to come down from that original type of person you were.
Didn't he
And-
lose his hair like right after?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything.
It's crazy.
Bro, do you remember Joe Rogan talking about Aldo in the walkout of the Conor fight? He was sitting there shocked with, he doesn't look right. He doesn't look good. Something's up with Aldo. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I think we know what's up with Aldo. This is called a come down from what was really helping him finish those fights.
It's interesting. Like, for me, it's between two guys, definitely. Like, Mighty Mouse and Fyodor Emelianenko. And I'll probably have GSP up there as well. Because I value a lot, like, moments of magic in the sport. More than particularly like having however many defenses Jon Jones had. Like, he had some iffy fights in moments he didn't look good. He was like he was looking bad in a couple moments. I know DJ has been knocked out and everything, but this is like a knockout. It's not like he was dominated for a fight. The things Mighty Mouse has done in the sport, he's a magician. It's
The armbar
next
was
level.
the greatest finish in the championship fight I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, and the way he can go toe to toe, like on the feet with like the best strikers in the world, like, dude, it's so disappointing that people forget about him sometimes. It really annoys me. I know, like, he's a smaller guy, like the flyweights don't get as much attention, but he definitely should. And you, my Russian friend, you should have your Fyodor in number one.
Listen,
And I'm
I
saying
will say
Fyodor
this.
because I know how to pronounce his name correctly. Huh?
First off, heavyweight. So pound for pound, I can't say I can take heavyweight seriously. Pound for pound, they're trash. Heavyweights are trash. Second
Yeah,
off,
most of the time. Yeah.
to me, bro, in that time MMA was so underdeveloped, bro. Put Fyodor in there, like in the UFC right now. Is he beating Tom Aspinall? Is he beating even Curtis Blades? I don't think so.
But no one is beating Tom Aspinall at heavyweight. Tom
then
Aspinall
how can
is
you
the
say
new
that he's the greatest
generation.
of all time?
Is the future of the heavyweight division.
But then how can you say that he's the greatest of all time if he can be the best hot thing right now?
Yeah, but see, now you're touching on something where people talk about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. At the end of the day, it's a different era of the sport. The sport itself is different. And the one thing I'll say is, because I want to touch on all three of those fighters he just named, the one thing you can say about MMA as a sport, especially in the UFC, that Conor transition, it happened with USADA. It happened in such a period where the DJ argument, let's start with DJ. I wish he was 10 years younger. Because if he was around right now, we would probably be talking about him as the greatest MMA fighter of all time during his career, because that's how good he was. The problem with DJ at the time is when the roids were around, the heavier guys were the better fighters. No one cared about the smaller guys. But guess what's happening? When these guys are all coming off of roids and all these performance-enhancing drugs, well, the bigger guys are getting a little fatter and slower. The smaller guys, the athleticism, the training, they're getting better. So now all of a sudden, guys who loved 185 and up are loving 145 and down, because those are where the better fighters are. Everything above 185, unless you're an elite fighter, looks absolutely terrible at this point. And I think that's what you can say about the DJ era. The guy was so good, bro. An entire tough season was made for all of the champions from promotions around the world to fight, for a chance to fight him. Moreno came off the show. Pantoja came off the show. Kai Kara France came off the show. The entire roster that we're basically looking at right now is potential like challengers and previous champions. They're all from a show that was created to find DJ challengers because he decimated everybody. So it's really sad for me, because with that run, they were thinking about shutting down the division. Like, that's what's so sad about him, is he'll never have credibility, because at the time, it wasn't a respected weight class to the point where nobody was watching. The UFC was thinking about getting rid of it. It's sad, really, when you think about it, because now, to me, 145 and under is just it's making the UFC for me right now.
But once again, underdeveloped. I'm not sure if you can say that DJ is the greatest of all time when he had to fight like Benavidez 3 times. He had to fight guys like Tim Elliott and that kind of stuff. I'm sure right now, even at this point, he'll probably beat Pantoja.
Guys are fighting Tim Elliott right now for a flyweight. Bro, the same fighters you just named, guys right now in flyweight have to fight the same guys. So I have to disagree with you there. You cannot compare time periods in a sport, because at the end of the day, if the competition and the learning is getting better, well, so are the challengers. So you still need to put together that resume against the current competition to be considered at least as good as that competition. Because the one thing I'll give DJ credit for, bro, is the way he was doing things. Is like TJ Dillashaw, to me, might be one of the most underrated fighters of all time, because he had the ability to perform like that in the octagon. Very cerebral. And I very much feel for DJ. He's someone I'm very passionate about, because he just never, ever got the credit he deserved. The same guy we're talking about got traded for Ben Askren. It's just the saddest story in MMA history. I don't know. Check the canvas. He's laid there a few times.
He's in the history of the UFC, if you think about it. Not in the way he probably wanted to be, but
right?
He's there.
Hey, but bro, he was retired though when he came into the UFC. So, come on, man. He wouldn't have done
bro, wasn't
good
he on some
way.
1 FC? He was on a 1 FC like title reign. He hadn't been beaten as the champion.
He had already retired, yeah, I believe so. Before that, he was on a title run, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, like, he wouldn't have cracked the top 5, probably.
But to trade him means that he was still under contract, because that doesn't make sense. Why would they need to trade him?
Why before the contract ended?
Yeah, so that's exactly it. He was just under contract with them. Okay.
So yeah, that's it. But I feel like this video is way too long, and we're not even talking about what we were supposed to talk about. So let's get one last point in, if you guys have any, and we'll do the outro.
I'll just say, if we don't see Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones by summer 2025, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself as an MMA fan. I'll
play
have
GTA
to...
6 instead.
2026. No, I'll personally go up to Dana White and say some very nasty things to him. Like, stop protecting your boy. Let's have this fight. Come
Very
on. We want
nasty,
to
bro.
see it.
Suki, anything to add there?
I totally agree with him. I just think it's one of those situations where, like, watching Jones for as long as I have, seeing the way he goes about his fights, very cerebral approach, very much picks his fights. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see the fight. In fact, I could see a double retirement regardless how the fight goes. And for the vacant title, we're going to watch Pereira and Tom Aspinall. I would say that's a more likely scenario than
I believe that
either
as well, yeah.
Stipe or Jon Jones fighting either of these guys ever. I don't think either of these guys want to step foot in the same room as Pereira Aspinall. So that's the way I feel.
Can I just say something? The most hilarious thing of all of this, imagine if Stipe gets it done against Sean. Somehow,
I was thinking
some
that.
way, dude, that would be the biggest plot twist in the history of the sport. Like, it would be the funniest thing ever, dude.
Jon Jones is going to have a mandatory rematch clause in there, and that's the only reason he won't retire again. Is that rematch?
And they'll make the rematch in 2028, maybe.
100%.
Something
They'll
like
come out with
this.
their canes and everything.
Exactly.
Bro, Stipe will probably retire after this, and then he will get hated by Dana White so much, bro, that they'll forget about what Ngannou did. They'll forget about what Mokaev did. Bro, imagine Stipe Miocic beats Jon Jones, and he's like, and he told Dana White already, like, win or lose, I'm retiring. And then he's like, all right. And then you see the face of Dana when he has to wrap the belt around him, like with Bilal, but like 100
I was
times
going to
worse,
say,
bro.
Imagine how red his face is gonna be, dude.
Bro, it's gonna be a new
Stipe, get it
profile
done.
picture.
Stipe, get it done.
It's gonna be a new profile picture for all these MMA fans, man. You know?
Oh my god,
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
scene,
be crazy, bro.
the
That would
scene.
be insane, bro. And he's like, "Habibi, bro," which means that he retired, but we won't know.
Get it done, Stipe. I believe in you. You'll do it somehow.
Stipe,
Yeah, we're all about the storylines now.
Stipe, bro. Habibi. I told him to beat him. I was a bit cringe. I'm sorry.
No worries.
All right, we're done. It's too much. It's getting too much. Thank you guys for watching.
I don't think we can talk about this all day.
Bro, let me do the outro.
Sorry.
Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.